Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton and Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Kevin, how you doing today?
You know what? I'm doing great. I just returned from the land of enchantment. Do you know where that is?
Let's see here. Land of Enchantment. It's not Georgia. It may not be. I'm not sure where.
New Mexico.
Okay. Is that like the state's tagline? Land of Enchantment?
Yeah, the land of enchantment. It was really nice out there. I was there for about 4 days, doing all things digital assets. I was out there, and it was fun. Beautiful.
Okay.
Albuquerque, beautiful city.
Well, so save that thought because our fun warm-up question in just a second is going to be on a related note. So who knows, you may be sharing more about the land of enchantment. But folks, welcome to today's show. I tell you, Kevin, we got a great show teed up. We're going to be diving into the metaverse and in particular, how the industrial metaverse is being leveraged powerfully out in the market and producing considerable, extraordinary benefits and outcomes. So folks, stay tuned for an informative, enlightening, and entertaining, enchanting conversation, should I say. Kevin, should be a great show, huh?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, for some reason, people think the metaverse is not a real thing. And it's just changing all types of things when it comes to businesses, especially in manufacturing.
Well said. We're here to tell you it's real, and we're going to give you some great examples. And we're going to define it, too, which is important. Make sure we're all together in the conversation at the same time. So, hey, we should give a quick shout out. Today's episode is presented in partnership with our friends at Microsoft, who's doing some really cool things out in the industry, helping to move us all forward successfully. So more on that just a bit later. But Kevin, I teased up this fun warm-up question, right? So it's getting warm here in the U.S. at least. Spring break for schools is right around the corner. Folks getting bit by the travel bug, starting to think about vacations perhaps. So Kevin, with all of that as a backdrop, what's been one of the coolest places that you visited in recent years?
Oh, that's
It's a tough one.
That's a tough question. That's a tough question there. But you know what? I'll have to say, thinking about spring break, Orlando. Talking about this year, I was down in Orlando before the spring broke, and I tell you, maybe it was because I was fed up with winter.
I thought you were about to say because you were enjoying some banana daiquiris or something. No, but you were fed up with winter, you said.
I was fed up with winter. But I did just come back from New Mexico. And one of the things I was really fascinated about New Mexico is the Native Americans and the traditions that are there, and learning about the different pueblos and tribes in New Mexico. I mean, it really enlightened me in that land of enchantment.
Oh, I bet it's fascinating.
So, yeah, very, very much so. I recommend anyone, to check it out.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. I've been next door. If my geographic skills aren't going to let me down, Arizona is next door to New Mexico. I've really enjoyed some trips out there. But I'm going to say, as I answer my own fun warm-up question, Cape Town, South Africa. I'm still, trip was last summer with our friend Jenny Froome and the whole SAPIX team out there. We had Man and I both had some wonderful conversations and food and just the different visits to vineyards and game, safari rides, you name it. So I had a wonderful time in Cape Town. So add that, folks. to your
Yeah,
list.
they're going into the winter now, though, right?
Right. That's right. That's right. They're probably not thinking about, well, I'll take that back. They may be thinking about beaches and vacations, to your point, Kevin, because they may be tired of experiencing winter and want to think about some warmer locales. But regardless, folks, check out New Mexico, check out Cape Town, in Orlando, as Kevin mentioned, and let us know some of your favorite places you visited. So now I want to get to work, Kevin. We got a lot to get into here today. For starters, as we mentioned, Metaverse is going to be front and center. Industrial Metaverse is going to be front and center in today's conversation. So I feel that Metaverse is one of those words that we've all heard a ton. So we've heard it said a ton, but we all may not know exactly what it is. In fact, Kevin, we've seen in recent years there have been tons and tons more searches by users on website search engines to figure out exactly what Metaverse means. So, as we get into it, let's define exactly what we're talking about, and who better to define it for us than Mr. Digital Transformers himself. Kevin, what is Metaverse? What are we talking about?
So I would say the metaverse is really the virtual space where users can interact with computer generated within a computer generated environment, but they can also interact with other users that are also represented by computer generated personas. So it's a virtual copy of the real world.
It's just that easy. I think a key thing there, Kevin, is the ability to engage those other users, where it's like a digital community of sorts.
Right.
So as you think about that definition that Kevin just shared, and I bet all of our listeners and viewers have heard that Metaverse name before, bringing it to industry, bringing it to manufacturing and supply chain and procurement, you name it. There's tons of applications. Now, there's still a big chunk of industry that hasn't put the metaverse in a headlock and brought it into the business just yet. But Kevin, all that's changing. And by the day, more and more business leaders, the light bulbs going off in terms of the applications that they see, right?
I think one of the biggest, advantages of the metaverse is that you can make mistakes without lasting results.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because the power of experimentation has been proven by all sorts of very successful companies. And if we can remove, Kevin, to your point, what can be at times the negative impact or cost of failure, because it's important to fail out there in business, right? The iterative nature of experimentation is so powerful. But to your point, I love how companies are looking to the metaverse to explore how to do things better and remove the costs, a lot of the costs associated with failure. So let's take it a step further. So when it comes to how companies are leveraging the industrial metaverse, we've got some great examples that I think a lot of folks are going to relate to. So where are we starting there, Kevin?
So with respect to examples in business, one of the greatest mantras of modern time is, if you're doing anything, you want to innovate, but it's very important to fail fast, right? And so within the metaverse, you can actually fail fast when you're leveraging that capability for product design and prototyping. You can use the industrial metaverse to create these environments where engineers and designers and their customers can actually collaborate in real time to prototype new products. And you can simulate different manufacturing processes and test the product performance virtually before you have to make a big investment on physical infrastructure. That reduces cost, reduces time to market, all right? And it gives you the ability to explore many, many, many facets to deliver value to your customer. The other aspect of this is the interaction or intersection between the virtual world and the physical world. And that occurs when you use the industrial metaverse for remote equipment operation and maintenance. When you're looking at manufacturing and energy and mining, you can use the industrial metaverse to reduce the risk um, of injury
Mm.
uh, by doing remote operations to monitor machinery and equipment that may be hazardous or hard to reach locations. This could really improve safety, efficiency, and accessibility. So you can perform tasks from a centralized location, this control center,
Mm.
or even work from home.
Which, of course, we've seen tons and tons of in recent
Mhm.
years. Now, I want to give a great example. So, the first two examples you used there, Kevin, virtual product design and prototyping and remote
Mhm.
equipment operation and maintenance, where companies are leveraging the industrial metaverse to make big gains there and really change how business is done across the ecosystem, which is one of your earlier points you were talking about, Kevin. So, I like what Caterpillar is doing along these first two lines here. Most folks will be familiar with this global company, a Fortune 100 company, and one of the world's leading manufacturers of industrial equipment, engines, turbines, and a whole bunch more stuff. So, Kevin, get this. Caterpillar is leveraging the industrial metaverse to power a virtual reality lab where the company's engineers can get powerful, engaging looks at their products while, to your point, they're still in development. In fact, rather than boring traditional blueprints, and I can say that because you may have used.
You've been there, huh?
Yeah, and I bet you may have been too. They had their time. There's a different way. So rather than using those boring traditional blueprints, which I'm only kidding, they're still a big part of business. But the team here at Caterpillar is getting immersive digital looks at these products, perhaps years before they are built in the physical world. Now, think of how much valuable feedback and perspective that can be gained, Kevin, from Caterpillar team members, as this metaverse-driven feature certainly helps them to optimize that product development process and just change it outright. Now, Kevin, have you ever rubbed elbows with anyone from Caterpillar or ever toured one of their plants or anything?
I had an opportunity to tour a farm manufacturing plant.
Okay.
One time, and it was fascinating the types of technologies that go into building a tractor.
You're right. It really is, especially on the scale of many of their products. But to your point, Kevin, what you're calling out, and I've been fortunate to do site visits at Caterpillar really across the country. Innovative technology is not new to Caterpillar. In fact, did you know that their massive, as an example, their massive 100-ton Cat 777 off-highway trucks have been operating in greatly challenging environments autonomously for almost a decade. Now,
that's surprising.
It is. And I'm talking, when I say autonomous, I'm not talking having backup human drivers on board. There's not a single human on board. And you got to picture, Kevin, these big old trucks, their tires alone. I was looking for dimensions earlier. They got to be somewhere in 18 feet in diameter is what I'm going to say. Taller. Yes, massive. Taller than just about anyone on the planet not named Shaquille O'Neal. And Caterpillar is also using mobile augmented reality, also via its industrial metaverse, to help its technicians out in the field keep equipment maintained and operating reliably. Uptime, not downtime. Uptime is the name of the game. So I love that example from Caterpillar and what they're doing over there, really around the globe. So, Kevin, we got a few other examples of the industrial metaverse and how it's being leveraged out there, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say uptime is money time, right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so valuable. That's why the industrial metaverse is so valuable, because it enhances that uptime. And it gets you back to uptime if there's downtime, when you need to bring in the humans to fix something. So to make that better, you need to train these humans so that they can operate in the environment, in the physical environment. They use and leverage simulation in the industrial metaverse to do this. This gives you these immersive training simulations. So workers get to practice the operating equipment or performing complex tasks for in a realistic environment so that you can get to that uptime, I mean, money time faster. And this is particularly important with new employees. And we wouldn't be a supply chain now show if we didn't talk about supply chain management and logistics. So companies use the industrial metaverse to create virtual replicas of their supply chains or supply meshes, I like to say,
Right.
to allow for real time monitoring, optimization, and risk management. And this, once again, you can simulate different scenarios without taking the risk or losing the money of making a mistake. So you can look at disruptions in transportation or changes in demands to develop contingency plans. And finally, collaborative maintenance and repair. These teams can operate in the metaverse to collaborate in troubleshooting and fixing equipment and addressing issues in real time, independent of their physical location. Okay, so I could be sitting in my home office, fixing one of those huge Caterpillar systems on the other side of the world.
That's right. That's right.
So you can overlay, and if you happen to have to go to a physical location to fix something, and you forget that manual, you can just pull it over the industrial metaverse and overlay digital information onto the physical task that you're actually doing using augmented reality. So you can access schematics or manuals or instruction guides within the physical environment. So you're merging that physical and that virtual to streamline the repair process, reducing downtime and accelerating that uptime.
I would argue, Kevin, as you kind of shared all those different examples, some of the things that, as I mentioned, the Caterpillar is up to that we've been reading and talking with folks about, and then the other examples that are more broader across the global supply chain universe. You can always all that rolls also up into a better supply chain resilience strategy, right? Because when you talk about some of the things you mentioned, from workforce, and shortening and making training more impactful and effective, and also shortening the time to workers can make an impact, right? And the flexibility of the training to better visibility, better ability to assemble the information, insights, demand, you name it, and make better, faster decisions, workforce decisions, repair, keep up, optimize uptime.
Yeah.
What operation is maintaining and protecting that uptime not valuable? None in this universe, right? all of that and a lot more, I think, really speaks to the power that the industrial metaverse can leverage when it comes to creating true supply chain anti-fragility or resilience. I like the first word better. Resilience has become so cliche, Kevin. I think when you think of it in terms of how anti-fragile you can be, I think that seems to have clicked more with folks out there as they really try to interpret what resilience should mean out in industry. Your quick thoughts there, Kevin.
So the thing that comes to mind is information is power. And the industrial metaverse gives you quick and unencumbered access to information.
Yep.
Information to data, that access to data. So that's that quick access to power to, reduce that downtime, increase that uptime, and to reduce
Reduce,
or be anti-fragile, right?
yes. You, reducing risk, increasing
Yes.
resilience, reducing downtime, increasing uptime, building more valuable, more effective, more engaging training programs. You name it.
Oh, yeah.
I
But one
think,
important thing, it actually gives you more experience,
yeah.
and you gather that experience quicker, and that makes that improves your business.
Yeah. Kevin, my hunch, and I'm about to ask you for some advice for business leaders out there looking to leverage the industrial metaverse more this year and beyond. But this is my hunch, and you
Mhm.
may know this a lot better than I do. The metaverse, the industrial metaverse, the metaverse, I think it's one of those um, levers that more and more business leaders are pulling and getting value out of. And I bet we're going to be reaching a tipping point in, I'll call it the month, I won't even call it the years ahead, the months ahead, where there's going to be all sorts of new applications and power that the industrial metaverse can bring to global supply chain and then some. So, Kevin, would you also agree with me that much more adoption is right around the corner?
I think the tipping point is behind us.
Ah, I love
I think
that.
we're already there. We're already past. And it's sort of like, years ago they said if you didn't have a website, you're behind, right? Well, if you're not in the industrial metaverse, you are way behind.
Way, way behind and highly quantifiable terms there. All right. So, Kevin, the famed global technologist that you are, I really have enjoyed your perspective here today. I want to ask, I want to get some free consulting from you though, for all of our
Okay.
listeners and viewers out there. If you had one piece of advice for business leaders out there that are looking to leverage the industrial metaverse in 2024, what would that be?
Jump on it. Don't be afraid. So, but really, people get afraid of doing things because they're afraid of making a mistake, right? They're afraid of the cost of making a mistake.
Yeah.
But that's really the magic of the metaverse. You can make a mistake and not incur the cost,
I
right?
love that. I love that. And I hate to go back and beat a dead horse, but
Hmm.
the ability to simulate on a
Yes,
much bigger scale, experiment on a much greater scale, because you're not as consumed and worried about what Kevin's talking about, which is failure. And again, not taking anything, failure is important, but gosh, let's fail more in the digital world than the physical world. How about that, Kevin?
exactly.
All right.
Learn from your failures, but learn fast.
Yes. That's right. I would add one piece of advice to what Kevin was just talking about. And I would say, whether it's the industrial metaverse, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, what you're trying to use, or whatever. Let's first bring the team together and figure out what we're trying to solve. What are we trying to do here? And then, and only then, do we figure out the right solution or technology or anything else, whether the industrial metaverse is involved or not. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, before we go here today, what a great conversation. I think, we talk about all things technology all the
Hmm.
time. I like to be able to focus in sometimes on singular technologies out there, even if all of them aren't as, I'll call, holistic as the industrial metaverse is, because it really encapsulates a ton of different offerings that fall all up under the metaverse umbrella, right?
Yes.
So,
'Cause,
I'm sorry, go right ahead.
no, one of the things I'd like to highlight, though, is that the industrial metaverse also gives you the ability to collaborate with people easier and
Right.
faster. So it's not excluding that collaborative activity. It's making your team stronger by leveraging the industrial metaverse.
I think anything, I'm so glad you brought that point up, because I think really anything, not just any technology, but anything out there that can help us collaborate and win more often with our teams is something that is certainly worth a first, second, third, 100th look. And it's cool to see, cool to hear, Kevin, that the tipping point's behind. So folks, if you haven't put the industrial metaverse in a headlock and brought it into your organization with powerful outcomes, hey, your competitors are doing it. So time to benchmark. But Kevin, moving right along as we start to wrap up today's conversation, before we get out of here, let's talk about some of the cool things that Microsoft's doing out there in global supply chain and beyond.
Well, you were talking about earlier about you like to focus on one product and what they're doing. Well, I'm going to take you at your word, because the one product I want to focus on when it comes to supply chain, global supply chain with Microsoft, is Dynamic 365 and supply chain management. Because talk about the metaverse, they have taken generative AI and just shoved it all in supply chain management with Dynamics 365. They have taken this technology to create an interactive environment that we've called the industrial metaverse. Now, with Dynamics 365, you can summarize purchase orders and get that data so you can make better decisions. The product itself is now has conversational help and guidance, and it uses this natural language to check inventory, and it leverages Microsoft Copilot to do that. It leverages AI to enable you to put an inventory chatbot right on your website or on your app to enhance customer experience. It actually integrates your transportation management with the Microsoft Cloud for sustainability, and talk about checking different scenarios. You can leverage the AI and the industrial metaverse built into Microsoft 365 to do forecasts and to validate your demand plans. And with that, get this, you can use the software across the cloud to tell your vendors when to ship.
Okay, I like it. Sounds like more money time to me, Kevin.
Yes, more money time.
And of course, we've latched on to that and have a little fun here today. But as important as profitability and revenue is, one of the best parts of today's conversation that Kevin's touched on and I've touched on is whether it's the industrial metaverse or some of the cool things that Microsoft's doing that Kevin just shared, it is putting the team in position to win and succeed, and taking some of the mundane stuff off their plates so they can spend their time more doing rewarding parts of their job. And as Kevin and I both touched on, making better, more confident, faster decisions. And when the team wins like that, the organization wins. Certainly the customers win. The whole ecosystem, including suppliers and then some, all win as well. So, Kevin, I'll give you one last chance to respond to that, and then we'll make sure that folks know how to connect with you and the cool things you're doing. But that's what I was talking about a second ago, empowering the team, leveraging innovative, cutting-edge technology. That's a big part of the game, right?
Oh, that is the game. That's the whole ball game, right? And it's not just your internal team. It's your external team, that ecosystem that you're interacting with in today's world, and that's a global interaction. So it's not a small T; it's a huge capital T.
That's right. And don't be scared, as Kevin mentioned. Don't be scared. Lean into this new technology or the technology that's been around a little while, and lean into those examples like we've covered. Some of we've covered here today when it comes to the industrial metaverse, and apply it in your organizations. Because if you don't, as Kevin mentioned, you're going to fall behind very fast. So, all right, Kevin, love what you've been doing at Digital Transformers. Exciting new chapter that will be being rolled out this year and beyond. So how can folks, I'll tell you, what is one thing that you're most excited about when it comes to Digital Transformers in 2024? And two-part question, how can folks connect with you?
So the first part, what we're doing at Digital Transformers is we're looking at digital assets and how they interact with business processes across every industry. So it's more than just transforming your own internal processes and digitizing them, but it's about leveraging virtual assets to improve your business, no matter where you are. So as part of that, I'm doing a lot of work with what's called the National DigiFoundry. And that's what they do. They incubate Web3 and Industry 4.0 businesses to bring digital assets into your digitally transformed business. So if you want to learn about that, that's what we're doing on Digital Transformers. And we just had a recent show talking about that. And there's more coming up. I was just talking to Amanda. Shout out to Amanda for keeping me in line.
A lot more to come.
A lot more to come. We were just putting the schedule out through June of all of the special guests that we're going to have on Digital Transformers here on Supply Chain Now. And you always catch me here or on LinkedIn or on X, right? The big X, Kevin_Jackson.
And you can also find Digital Transformers with Kevin L. Jackson wherever you get your podcast from. Kevin, pleasure here today. As always, really have enjoyed today's show. I loved how we talked about practical examples where organizations out there are leveraging the industrial metaverse. And I look forward to our next chat here today.
Yes, absolutely. It's fun.
All right. Also, big thanks to our collaborative partners over at Microsoft as well, helping us to bring these interesting conversations just like this one to the global audience. So, folks, the onus is now shifted over to you, though. So to all of our listeners, hope you enjoyed the conversation. But the trick here is you got to take one thing that Kevin shared here today, that we talked about here today, and take action. Put it into your organization, make a change. Your team will certainly appreciate it. It's all about deeds, not words, because no one has time for downtime. And everyone's got time, though, for uptime and money time. So with all that said, hey, on behalf of our entire team here at Supply Chain Now, Scott Luton challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.